Sit back. Ben Leslie's about to take you to school. You're not going to be hearing anything about reading, writing, or arithmetic. Professor Leslie's lessons are all about racing, the rules, and how to get around them. Let's start with an oldie but a goodie. A trick to make weight disappear that's been around for ages.
We were pushing the envelope pretty hard on a lot of stuff, or trying to. And we weren't running good, so they weren't looking at us real close. So we took the radios, took them apart, took all the guts out, had our machinist machine tungsten to go in it, and glued them back together. So we had 20 pounds of radios that we had to change out before the race. We almost got caught when the radio guy come by one race before the race and wanted to test the radios. And yeah, well, you can test them, but they ain't going nowhere because there's nothing in it but tungsten.
Now, let's talk about fuel cells and just how big they can get. This caper begins at Roush Racing before Professor Leslie took the secret with him to Penske Racing.
So I get there, and we had been pretty aggressive on the 26 on a lot of stuff. Old boy that actually just passed, JJ Klopfelter, he was aggressive on a lot of stuff. Really good fabricator, and the fuel cell deal was like that was his baby, and putting the biggest number in at the pump, that was like winning the race for him. So we had some pretty big stuff. So I get to Penske, and get to the first race or two, and I pull Robin aside. I said, I got a couple tricks up my sleeve. We're shorting ourselves a little on fuel. I don't want to get too aggressive. But do what you can, but don't get too aggressive. Okay. Well, we go somewhere, and we end up having a pit again or something like that. The fuel mileage capacity kind of screws us. Okay. He come to me and he said, gloves are off. We're going to Pocono. You do what you can. 10-4, boss. So I work my magic, and it was a little bit outside the rule.
So what's the trick?
Well, it ends up making a fuel cell look like a football. And most time you got to put a new can in it to get through tech next. It's a one and done deal.
Yeah.
Put just a ton of air to it and blow the cell up, and may or may not have some fuel cell shims that have been epoxied together and shimmed, and after it gets sealed, you can break them loose and pull them out in pieces, so the fuel cell has more room to grow when you put a god awful amount of air to it.
The numbers Leslie was seeing, let's just say that those fuel cells were well over the legal limit.
And I want to say they thought a good cell at the time was 23.1, 23.2, something in that range.
And it's technically supposed to just be
22.
22.
Yeah.
All right.
So they were just touching the 23s. On 26.
At Penske?
At Penske.
Okay.
At
Before you did anything.
Yeah. At the 26, we had some cells that were approaching 25.
Figuring out how to increase the fuel capacity so dramatically was only one part of the equation. Not getting caught was every bit as important.
When we started getting a big number, which surprised ourselves at times, we said, man, we got to do something. So then, the first thing that we did is when the thing hit 22, somebody'd reach over and just shut the pump off on the guy. Guy'd turn around and look, and, he'd get all mad. Because then when he turned it back on, it erased it. It went back to zero. So then, you do that a time or two and you make the fuel guy mad. So, well, let's put some fuel in it before we go over there. So we don't keep just showing how blatant we are.
Now that we've got our car good and light and packed full of gas, let's move on to the balance of the car, front to rear. Professor Leslie had that one covered too.
And I won't say that I'm the first one to do it, but definitely I didn't get it from anybody. It came to me in the middle of the night. And woke up in the middle of the night, couldn't sleep.
Going into the 2003 season, NASCAR mandated that only a certain percentage of the car's overall weight could be placed on the rear of the car. Still, Leslie believed that his late-night inspiration gave him a way around the ruling.
So I started thinking, well, if I set the car up and have tungsten in the front of the frame rail and still max out the tail weight, legal, but take all the spacer out. So when he takes off, all the tungsten slides to the back of the frame rail. And then when he comes in, you just got to stab the brakes and everything slides forward. You go across the scales, none the wiser.
Yeah.
Next morning, I tell the guys, of course, they look at me like I got lobsters coming out of my head. And I've said, no, this is what we're going to try to do. And it's 3.5 tenths. I mean, it's serious.
Wow. It wasn't until late in the year that Leslie let other Roush teams in on what he'd been doing all season on the 6 car. Now pay attention. This is going to come into play later.
Well, going into the last Speedway race, the 16 wasn't very good in points, and mathematically they could have went home. So I hadn't told anybody about this. Swore all my guys to secrecy too. So in the meeting, in the crew chief meeting, because I didn't want to see the 16 have an issue, and there's 3 to 4 tenths on the table. So I let the cat out of the bag. All right, so now everybody at Roush knows, or the crew chiefs.
2004, Leslie wound up as Ricky Rudd's crew chief at Wood Brothers Racing, which was in a technical alliance with the Roush organization at the time. Leslie brought his bag of tricks along with him, cough cough, as did Rich Hubbs, who'd been with Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, an organization that was known for having its act together at Daytona and Talladega.
DEI had a few tricks up their sleeve on the Speedway stuff too, and God bless them. They did their homework.
Did you catch that? DEI didn't cheat. They did their homework. Anyway, when Rudd wound up fast in practice and then with the 4th fastest lap in qualifying, Leslie's former teammates started sniffing around.
We were top 3 on the sheet, every day. So we get home, get a couple phone calls from the Roush group, have this, what'd you have here, what'd you hit, blah, blah, blah. And I was, for the most part, forthright.
For the most part.
I didn't give any DEI stuff, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't mine to give. That was my justification anyway.
And then Leslie was asked the question.
So, I get a phone call. I get a phone call from a couple of people at Roush and asking this, that, and the other thing. And I specifically get the question, was you using a lead slide deal? Yep. Why wouldn't you? I mean, they ain't caught on to it, and why wouldn't you? About a week later, bulletin comes out. You got to go through tech with the caps off the lead rails because they're going to look and make sure that all the ballast is secure.
The timing of the ruling got Leslie's attention, so he gave Cup director John Darby a call, hoping to coax some information out of him. He got it.
So it's eating at me. I gotta find out. This is too coincidental. I'm too cynical of a guy for this to just be happenstance. So call him up, small talk. I said, hey, how about this bulletin? I said, man, you really think people are not locking down their lead? That seems odd, doesn't it? He starts laughing. Look, don't play stupid to me.
I can hear him.
Yeah.
I can hear him.
Smoking a cigarette the whole time. Don't play stupid to me. And I couldn't help. I started chuckling. I'm like, what? He's like, look, just don't. He said, but I will tell you this. He said, next time you figure something like that out, don't tell the person that's crew chief in the yellow and black car, because he couldn't wait to call me. Really? He said, yeah. So just be careful. So I got narked on by my own people.
Yellow and black car at Roush Racing, 2003, 2004. You can figure that one out for yourself.